It was the most popular attraction in the world, according to polling, even after it was destroyed. We're talking about Splash Mountain, which indeed was everyone's favorite ride. Well, not everyone, but in aggregate, yes. And yet the Walt Disney Company decided, perhaps stupidly, to destroy the most popular attraction in the world. Only available now in Japan, where the Japanese, the Oriental Land Company that controls the Japanese Disneyland theme park, said, no, heck no, go pound sand, we're not destroying our most popular attraction. That's insane. But Disney likes to be insane. Now, images are coming out, and we are seeing the exterior finished for this new ride that replaces it, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And many people are calling it Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure. And as you might suspect, no, not in a good way. Hello folks, welcome back to the WDW Pro channel, where frankly we love the Rainforest Cafe. Volcano! No, it's a great place, we enjoy it, we love it. Thunderstorms are fun, especially if you have small children, but not too small because they will cry. On the other hand, we have to say that maybe having Splash Mountain changed into the bayou and the bayou looking more like a plastic jungle, yeah, that's not going in the right direction. And yet that's the direction we see, and that's why many are now calling it Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure. It's not good. It's not looking good, and it doesn't apparently know what it wants to be. Is it a cartoon? Is it realistic? We're getting images of realistic appearing plastic magnolias, and if that's how you're going to try to sell your ride, woo, woo. Shall I say it again? Woo. That's how bad it is. Let's bring in the panel now and let's discuss it, folks. You might be disgusted with just how bad Disney has gotten, but we'll explain how they got here. We're going to be talking about Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure. It's not necessarily where we thought we would be going when this week started, but it is nevertheless where we must be, and we'll be starting off, of course, with this article out of Blog Mickey, but it's not all. All right, let's get to it right now. Here we go. We've got a first look inside Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Magic Kingdom News on Blog Mickey, and you can see that whereas Splash Mountain took on more of a cartoon kind of vibe, this looks more like Rainforest Cafe. This looks more like the Pirates of the Caribbean bayou scene. It doesn't match the cartoon feel.
The African savannah on Listen to the Land.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Thunderstorms.
That's exactly right.
I'm going to push back a little bit because I see some imitations of Spanish moss that's hanging there. So if anything, this is what I would call the very sanitized version or cleaned up version of that scene that you guys were talking about in Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, when you float by and you see that very nice weathered looking bayou scene. It looks like this is a cut and paste of that.
Well, the problem that I have is that regardless of the quality or what they're aiming for in terms of the feel, the aesthetic here is not cartoon. I mean, none of this speaks to cartoon, and they're trying to display a cartoon. So that'll be a mismatch. Let's read the article, and then I want to get to the real meat of the matter here. During the Disney 100 A Century of Dreams special edition of 2020, again, Disney has its own news outlet. Disney offered a sneak peek inside the Tiana's Bayou Adventure attraction. It's the first time that Disney has offered a look inside the attraction since construction began. Disney didn't clarify if this was a look inside the Walt Disney World version of the attraction or the Disneyland version of the attraction. And you can see here, folks, again, it doesn't appear to be cartoony in the least. One of the issues I take... Go ahead.
Is that actually an image of it? Because I thought that was bad Photoshop. Are you being serious?
No, it is. And Mr. H,
that is real.
This appeared on 2020, which is an American news magazine.
And this is
their special sneak peek.
Lest anyone think that we're being overly harsh, I want to say that if you were going to show off something in the news and you want to draw people in, you would show off the best you have. If this is the best they have, then this is terrible. Nobody cares about seeing plastic magnolias.
Yeah.
So if that's what you're showing
magnolias.
off, go up to those people. Go up to
and
those
this
people
is
again.
not.
The one on the left legitimately looks like a crash test dummy.
Oh,
It doesn't look like a human being.
That's
It
right.
looks like a mannequin, does it not?
He could be. He's an escaped animatronic, Mr. H.
I mean, what is this?
Let's go down here. And by the way, this is what it was supposed to look like. Okay, so
Right.
concept art, folks. Remember what it's supposed to look like. This is what you're getting. Okay, this is what it was supposed to look like. This is what you're getting. Okay, for anybody who's still hanging on to hope. Now, here's the real problem. We scroll down here. The real problem is, if you take a look at this CGI model that we were shown, we all thought this looked terrible and that it was just, hastily thrown together art assets to try to make filler for D23, the Disney Expo. The problem is, Lorena, that now that we're getting closer to the finalization of this ride and the opening of it in the next year, this is actually spot on to what it looks like. It looks like a jungle next to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It looks like a jungle in the middle of Frontierland.
Oh,
and the problem is that many out there, and we want to give credit where credit is due. Braden of Mickey Views is the one who came up with this, where he said it looks like Rainforest Cafe. I'm now calling this Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure because he's exactly right. They have so much in terms of plastic plants, and all I can tell you is that as those plastic plants fade in the sun over the next decade, this thing is going to look terrible. And I'm not saying that because I hate Disney, because I don't see any way around it. So
no, you're absolutely.
Go ahead, Lorena.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say you're absolutely right with that. With the original Splash Mountain, you had like that weathered rabbit burrow and all of that going on. Because in the summer, and people forget this, I mean, these Imagineers probably forgot this because this is Florida. This is not Anaheim. Okay, this is not California. We have a lot of rain, a lot of torrential rain, especially in the summer. Rain, water, heat, mold growth. Okay, that's not going to look good, and it's not going to smell good either. The second thing is, if these people went to New Orleans to do research, they have learned absolutely nothing. Anyone who has been to New Orleans will look at this and basically say, well, you're saying, Pro, this looks like the Rainforest Cafe. There's no bayou feel to this at all.
Well, there's no mountains in the bayou, so that it's really hard to make that work. So,
Pro, do you mind if I bring up what the interior of this ride should look like?
Well, you sure can.
This is what the interior of Splash Mountain looked like before they gutted it. Compare that to the little bits of grass that they had there in that shot. Here's how it looks. I'm assuming this is at Tokyo Disneyland, just guessing on the demographics of who's in the picture. But this is a fully operational, fully maintained version.
Scroll back just a little bit, Jonas. I want people to understand what they're losing or what they've lost and what they're getting in its place. Because partially, Jonas, one of the big rumors that's out there now, Braden of Mickey Views says that an Imagineer who was there told him that Bob Iger was given a tour of the interior and that his response was that it is boring. Now, I'm not there to corroborate that. I don't know. But what I want to bring up here, and definitely, Culture, Mr. H, Lou, I want your thoughts on this, please. I was listening to Jeff Bezos, an interview with him on the Lex Friedman podcast. And he brought up that in business that there are many two-way doors and then there are some one-way doors. And what he was doing is he was trying to create a picture of the decision-making process. And what he was talking about is that sometimes in corporations and in personal lives, we sort of invert our understanding of what's a one-way and what's a two-way. And we sit and we stress greatly over these two-way door situations where if it doesn't go well, you can come back through that door and change the way that you want to go. But then there are those one-way doors that are so consequential that once you go into them, it's very hard to ever go back. And so you might think of like with the Disney company, you might think about, for example, the Little Mermaid movie that came out this year. That's a two-way door. And it's a two-way door because at worst, it's going to be a terrible movie that's going to divide audiences and it's going to lower their view of your brand, but you can fix it the next year with a great movie. So that's a two-way door. We here on the channel think it's a big thing and we cover it like it's a big thing, and it is, but it's still something that can be fixed. Splash Mountain, on the other hand, and Reimagine Tomorrow more broadly, Splash Mountain is a one-way door. And by that I mean that what they're doing to this, which is in line with what they've done in 2023 where their box office has been abysmally bad, what they're doing in the parks is they're changing the most popular attraction in the world. And that's not hyperbole. That's per surveys. the most popular attraction in the world, they are subjugating it to the 2023 vision that they've had, which has been an utter failure with the market. And that's going to stand there for 10 or 20 years because it's so expensive to ever go back and redo this again that they are stuck with this. And that's why this is a one-way door decision. And that's why I think that Disney is causing themselves to have long-term negative ramifications from their decisions. I hand it to anybody who'd like to talk about that in terms of just how long this will be a huge problem for them.
And there are two aspects to that, bro. The first is we can all compare with what we knew and loved. But somebody new who this is their first exposure to this attraction, and they see that it's bland and boring and all the things that Iger saw, they have no reference to say, oh, they ruined it. Their reference is, I don't trust them in the future with anything new because if this is the best they can do, forget it. That's where that one-way, two-way door thing works. You know, what you mentioned about Little Mermaid, and, well, they can always fix it next time. That assumes they think it needs fixing. Instead, according to everything they tell us officially, it's our fault for not liking what they did.
That's a great point.
Yeah, the other night I watched Blank Check with my sons, and their mind was blown at this movie that is very much in the vein of like Home Alone, where you give this kid this massive amount of freedom. It's silly. He ends up getting like a 20-year-old supermodel girlfriend in the end of it. I think about the age of Disney movies where they could just release something and it didn't have to be the entire future of the company. It didn't have to cost $250 million. They could go and make something that's just fun and then keep moving on if it wasn't a success. They've just dropped something else that maybe little kids will like, as opposed to these blockbuster after blockbuster that never end up being actual blockbusters.
Look at the kinetic difference in these images. Look at how much fun you can feel just in these still photos. In this, we have absolutely static imagery, including plastic magnolias. Again, they're supposed to be showing off the thing that would cause audiences to go, oh, wow. Okay, I'm fine with Splash Mountain going away. And then look at what we've enjoyed for decades. And look at the motif, the difference.
Didn't you, in covering this in another video, mention the difference in the count of animatronics?
Yes, over 60 animatronics, now reduced to about 16.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Get ready for screens. Lots of screens.
The original was reusing all the armatures from America Sings.
Yes, yes.
But that doesn't mean you can't make more.
But they've gleefully gotten rid of it. Culture, this is a long-term, horrible decision, and it's at least partially because Splash Mountain, again, the most popular attraction in the world, it's going to sit there, and it's needed to move people through the line. It is a massive capacity eater. And if it becomes Journey into Imagination, then, you know, it's a huge mistake that also will increase the wait times at every other attraction.
Well, again, as you mentioned, I mean, we call them people eaters, right? And this was one of the most unique attractions ever created. You guys pointed out that it primary location used all the America Sings animatronics, but when you walk through this attraction, which I've had the privilege of doing, not even on the log, but literally walking the attraction, it's even more impressive because of the level, the scale, the scope of the detail of the original Splash Mountain. They've done absolutely everything they can to remove all those wonderful detailed elements that made that something special. And this is not an attraction that's suitable for young ones. Anybody under the age of 10 probably won't brave this, especially if they're princesses, because this is supposed to be a princess ride. I think Jonas touched on this the other day. I said this from the very beginning before they even moved forward on this project. I'm like, this is foolhardy. If you want to create an attraction for young girls, that are fans of Tiana or whatever, you do a dark ride, the Omnimover style thing that mimics what you experience in Mermaid. This is entirely wrong. And all of the things we used to complain about when it came to like Universal's attractions and their offerings.
Culture, it's like if they rethemed Rock and Roller Coaster with Bluey. Bluey's popular. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that, but they are definitely retheming it. But you're right. But when you look at it, you're like, well, this This was something special. This isn't going to appeal to these young people. I mean, yes, there were fans of this that are probably in their 20s or 30s now, that were fans of the original property, and sure, they'll want to go on it. But dragging a 9-year-old girl on this, especially something that they know they're going to get wet, which, by the way, is something you really want to do in the middle of summer in Magic Kingdom, is get wet because it's bloody hot. But this is going to be a failure. And again, I'm back to the Universal point. Universal, we used to complain, used too many screens. Everywhere there's screens, there wasn't anything physical, tangible. You didn't have the kinetics, as you mentioned before, Pro. That's exactly what Disney's been creating. The Navi boat ride bologna sausage craptasticness that's over in
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Is the most disappointing ride ever, with one significant animatronic figure that now is starting to break down on the regular. Not quite.
You know what the Navi ride is there so that when you are waiting on your family member to get off Flight of Passage, you've got somewhere to go wait in line and get some air conditioning yourself.
This is true.
That is garbage. And again, you mentioned this is a huge people eater. You can have, that's why log flumes are wonderful attractions, because you can hold a boatload, get it, boatload of people, on that attraction. Sorry, I'm naturally punny, but anyway,
it was just the joy that we saw in your eyes that you had accomplished that. That's what made us all laugh, was how much joy you had in that.
The self-satisfaction is palpable and fun.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at Disneyland's version of Splash Mountain, it was perfect. They created a whole little critter country around it. It was spectacular. Yeah.
That scene we keep showing with the riverboat.
Yeah.
That is seen from the train at Disneyland. The train goes through the mountain as a preview of, hey, come ride this ride. If they look and they see this boring, dull, no animatronic thing, they're gonna. I think I can pass on that one. The line's too long. I don't need this aggravation.
I have a feeling that this attraction is not going to pull the same number of guests. It's going to have one successful year, the first year, and after that, the news will be out. The word will be out that people can watch a POV ride through of this and go, "This looks quite trash."
Culture, they're going to hide it by using virtual queues. They're going to hide the popularity of it with virtual queues so that nobody knows what the actual wait time is. That's how they'll hide it the first year.
But, okay, so, and this is the other problem, and I haven't said much about this recently, but the bologna sausage artificial scarcity that Disney tries to create for their attractions in order to make you feel like you're getting value out of Genie Minus and all the other minuses that they've added to the park. Everybody's hip to that now. They understand that Disney's just trying to bilk you for every last cent that you have. There is no value that's assignable to that. So yeah, they can certainly hide it with the virtual queue, but look at that. It's a magnificent. It's the biggest thing that you can see in the park.
And it's also supposed to look kind of intimidating as well.
Yeah.
When this was built, it was supposed to be scary on some level, that they have this 52-foot drop. The entire point of this ride was because Disney wanted to be competitive in the thrill ride space. It was as thrilling as a Disney ride could get.
Guys, exactly. I could go
on with the flume ride down there. When you see that briar patch, which is germane to the story, you would stand there just to watch the fear on people's faces when they came over that bridge and went straight down, and the water spraying all over the place. And that was what you wanted to see. And in addition to that, there's the railroad, which was put off for like 4 years because of the Tron refurb or whatever, that goes by there. So when you're going by on the train, you get to see it, and you get to see that wonderful themed queue with all the little critter houses and the lighting and all of that. Well, that part is now gone.
And at Disneyland, when they go down that flume, you are there to see where they come out underneath you, because the pathway that gets to Critter Country goes right across that section, and it comes back out in a trough that, in theory, is part of the Rivers of America before it goes back.
And it's the same in Disney World, too.
Yeah. And also, look at how they took that spire off the top. The whole perspective of that hill goes away when you take that off. And why is that so important to remove? What, to highlight the crown on the water tower?
Right, because you can't have the log, even though the log would have fit in with the bayou. The final point I make, because we could go on for an hour, if we want to actually break this down in terms of art and what they've done to art, We could go forever. So many bad decisions. But the last thing I'll say is, you see in that picture that Jonas has there, the flume of water not going down, but rising up as they crash down. They had those water cannons that would fire water up, so it looked like this massive splash. Thus the name Splash Mountain. Well, I'm here to tell you, with all those fake plants, they can't do that anymore. And so it's just another example of sacrificing something amazing for the purposes of mundanity. So we get Rainforest Cafe plastic plants, and you lose the water cannons that made this be something very exciting. And again, kinetic. Jonas, we've had some kinetic super chats.
Hint to Disney, the rainforest plants are indoors, not out in the sun.
That's right. And folks, that is a wrap. We hope it was almost as fun as going down the final flume on Splash Mountain. Into the Briar Patch. Disney's in a Briar Patch, I'll tell you that right now. And they are no Brer Rabbit. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe. And when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Waste not your mind. Share your thoughts, please. Join the community in this dialogue together. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning. Keep growing. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you real soon. Keep having fun.